Drag Week 2024 updates. We got Charlie here helping out. He's a windshield guy, friend of his windshields. Used to. Still doesn't for friends. I've been, every time I drive this car or wash the car, I have water run into the dash or on my feet, trying to figure out what's going on. So he came over and we're going to take a look at it. I thought, we've had the windshield replaced twice, the seal replaced. Charlie even came and did this one last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And
it's still leaked, and he's like, I know I installed that seal right. So we pulled it back apart to take a look, and to find out, he said the Dodges have a problem. This is where the drain is on the windshield frame for the water. This is a spot right here where water can run into the dash if it gets past, like, builds up and goes below the seal. So this is also, this below where this drain is goes into where the actual pocket in the cowl is to drain. So we're going to drill a couple holes right here underneath this to help this drain so it doesn't build up and get behind the gasket there. I'm sure we can try to put something here to try to seal that better as well, but we're going to kill a couple birds with one stone. So just an update on the car. Alright, our holes are drilled on each side of that piece of where the drain is, on both sides of the windshield. You probably can't see that side now. Charlie has a little bit of this primer that goes on a brush. He's priming it so those holes don't rust. And Bob's your uncle. Alright, so finally success. We got it all together, and it still did leak a little bit. Even with the new holes, it drained a lot better, lower, but it was still leaking through that spot. So Charlie didn't have any butyl with him, so we went up to, for those of you who watched my van swap, the LS swap, I have a junkyard, or like a little boneyard of a bunch of LS trucks, donor trucks, up at my parents' old log landing. So we went up and we stripped a couple of the factory door cards, pulled that rubbery butyl stuff off of them, and we put that up underneath the windshield gasket, and now no leaks. So success. That's all. Now Charlie's putting the trim back on, and we'll roll it out into the sun to really let that stuff bake. But that's good. Ever since I built this car in 2000 and finished it in like 2012 or 13, the windshield has leaked, and I've had different gaskets. We've tried all sorts of stuff. So we got lucky with Drag Week last year that we didn't have any rain. So this year, I doubt we'll be that lucky. So it'll be nice to not have a leaky windshield. So, yep, some Drag Week updates. There's something else I did too. Oh, I got the new Clutch Master cylinder in as well. We took the old factory one out that mounted to the firewall because the firewall was cracking and breaking since it was never rated to have a hydraulic cylinder like that mounted to it. And so now I've got the system that goes up underneath the dash from Underdash Hydraulics by Malwood is the company. And it mounts, you take your factory pedal out and it mounts right to the whole brake pedal assembly there. But I will say it was a mother trucker to put that thing in there. It really sucked. In their instructions video, it's the whole brake assembly sitting right on a workbench. So that was a pain in the ass, and there was no adjustability on the push rod, so my clutch wasn't quite right. So I ended up taking their push rod out and I cut it, and I put a little, like a trunnion on there, or one of those longer nuts, and welded a bolt to it as well. So I made it so I could spin it and adjust it basically to make whatever length I needed, and now it's like, it's beauty. So yep, much more better. Getting closer. T-minus 2 months. September's coming quick. I still got to do the new AC. I got the new AC pump to put in there and fix a couple little things, and then still pull another filter off and make sure that the motor's okay. I got a new oil pump too. I don't know if I can do that without pulling the oil pan or not because of I've got the plate. It's got the dual screws and stuff. I don't know if I can get to them, but we're gonna find out. See you next time. All right, welcome back. We are to the point of Drag Week 2024 preparations. We're at Matt's garage. Say hi, Matt.
Hello.
Matt's School Street Garage in Randolph. We're about to pull the oil pan out. The guy who did the machine work with me, or for me, is coming to take a look at the bearings with me. I might as well take a peek before we go beat on it, just to make sure with my, I never had any oil pressure actual issues. I'm about to cut open another filter just to take a look now that I've been beating on the car for a little while. So we're going to do that. I got a new AC pump. I got the new high volume oil pump that I'm going to put in to see if that helps a little bit. And yeah, we'll be keeping you updated today. Yeah, well, son of a bitch.
That would leak a little.
We found our problem. The oil pump pickup O-ring was pinched. I've never, ever done that before on any of all the LSs and stuff I've built. Well, found it. Hopefully the bearings are okay.
Clean rag or paper towel?
Okay, we got the whole bottom of the motor apart. We got Randy here, owner of River City Machine. He's the one who did all the work for the car for me, the motor work. We just pulled the first rod bearing off, and it looks beautiful. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I mean,
there's somewhere that so that we did lose lifter, so there was a little material went through stuff. But
and see, the bearings got little specks here and there.
Yeah,
that's the embeddability of that bearing, which is softer than like that X bearing.
Yeah,
which are rock hard. So any little pieces that go through scratch your crank up instead of just getting embedded in the bearing.
Think that's okay though? We don't need to spin new ones in.
Now we can see what bearing it was. No, I don't. I mean,
that's perfect.
This is just one. All it takes is one to kill your whole motor.
Yeah.
This was a one under.
One under.
One under, not over. And I went over to Chase.
So we got them all apart. There's only one set of rod bearings that looked a little beat up from the lifter material. So we're gonna slap a new set, just one new set of the rod bearings in, and we will put it back together. Next, we're gonna pull the oil pump apart. I'll put the new oil pump in, but the looks like even though the oil pickup tube O-ring was bad, it was still giving it enough oil pressure that it was okay. It was still oiling things. So we're gonna go down and get another bearing. Alan's doing that for me, a friend of mine, while he's going down to the machine shop, grabbing one while I start ripping the rest of the car apart. So that's good news. We are back. We did the bearing last time, fixed the O-ring. The way that the O-ring was pinched on the pickup tube, I thought that would be, create a little bit of better oil pressure. But it didn't. It's about the same when it gets hot. So we're going to put the high volume pump in just because that pump had lifter material go through it. And with the bigger bearing tolerances, and I'm going to add an oil cooler. I don't think it'll hurt to have a high volume pump, especially, it's feeding the turbo on top of that. So we are back at Gilman's shop. Car is back up on the lift. Got some friends helping. Yeah. Yeah. So at least the oil, you can take the oil pan off this car very quick. It's the letting it cool back down from driving takes longer. It takes like 15 minutes to have the pan off. So now we're just draining the coolant. Got to pull the turbo crossover pipe and everything off, and then front accessories, and it's ready to come apart. Updates to come. All right, so we got the old oil pump apart. It's not too terrible, but there's definitely scoring pretty bad in there. You can kind of see that, like you can feel it with your fingernail pretty well. So yeah, she's a little beat up from those lifters going through there. It's always neat to take stuff apart and see what the damage is. So we got the new pump back in. Now time to put everything back together and see how she does. We lubed it up, tried to prime it a little bit. Of course, it just pours out the bottom, but at least it's not dry. So back together she goes. Oh, first start up. I think we got everything back together. So you're seeing this as early as I am. I'm scared. Huh. It's actually about exactly the same. Hopefully once it gets hot now, though, it won't drop as much. We'll see. At least the peace of mind is done that it's, you know, replaced. We are back. Some of the last prep before drag week. Car's back on the lift up at Gilman's. And we are re-shimming the rear to try to get rid of some of the whine. We have an issue with this rear end. When I had built this 60 for this car, I didn't realize, the three of us missed it actually, that the race previously had spun. And I had it set up from a guy and it whined within like 2 days. I had another friend set it up who does them a lot and it whined again after a day or two. And he's like, Devin, I haven't had a rear end whine in like 9 years. So he came up and we took it apart and the carrier basically fell out when we pulled it apart. And he said, I know that I had to press that in there. So then we noticed that this bearing had spun and there's like a 40 thousandths thick lip left. That's all that the race sits on. So we're gonna see what we can do in here to try to fix that. If I can't get that resolved, then I'm gonna have to build another rear end. But at least for this drag week, I can get rid of the whine because it's obnoxious listening to it go down the road. So that is one update. We got check valves out of the fuel system. I've got a oil cooler that maybe I can find a spot underneath here somewhere to place. And a couple little things. So you got a wire to run a dedicated ground with a battery. Those are like the three main things to do today. But keep you posted. Okay, she's back in, shimmed. We had to add. So we added the 8th valve first, and it wasn't enough. So we added another 4. So we had to add 12 thousandths on the right side for it to be tight. We tapped it in with a rubber mallet. I'm gonna hold this bad boy. Yeah, torque. I know we don't ever really get to do much of working on camera just because. What was it?
80.
I always forget my tripod in the camera, and people are like, hey, how about some live action stuff? So here you go, you got a few seconds. Woo! I'm gonna put the cover back on. Reusable gaskets, ladies and gentlemen. Tell your kids. So you don't have to deal with RTV when you're on the side of the road with a blowing up ring and pinion. Since it's new, everything was pretty clean in there. Alright. Alrighty, folks. We do have... Oh. Way too close. An oil cooler. This is a kit from Derail. It bolts onto the turbo outlet. Or I guess the outlet of the oil pan. I'm running a 90 out the bottom. I had to drill that. They're 1/8 inch MPT. I drilled that to 1/4 inch MPT so that I could run my 6AN line that feeds the turbo. And then we've got the lines that came off of that conveniently fit right into the tube for the K member that we ran out to a cooler we tucked up underneath the wheel well on the front. So if you come and look at it like from the right angle, you can see it up underneath there, but when you're outside of the car you can't see it at all. Once you put it on the ground, I'll take another picture and video. But so oil cooler check, didn't see any oil leaks either, so I think we're doing well. Now we're gonna put the ground on and the dedicated ground wire and call it a day. We are pretty damn close for drag week. Woo! Alrighty. On the way back from Gilman's, I stopped into Biddy's to talk to him, but he's not here. But I forgot to do a walk around to Gilman's, so that cooler in there, if you tuck down and look, you can see it, but it's not an eyesore when you're just, you know, outside the car. You don't even notice it. So pretty happy with that. No leaks. The AC system's still doing funky stuff. I thought it might be a problem with the controller itself, so might have to figure out some stuff with that, but we're basically ready. All right, it is Wednesday for drag week. We have got the rear end done. We did the oil cooler. I did the oil cooler. I pulled the bottom end apart. I think we got most things ready to go. The AC system still, I called them today. I have to send it back when I get back. As soon as you turn the key on, the fan turns on, which was a problem last year because you'd be at the staging lanes and sometimes the AC would just randomly kick on and stall the engine. So I was like, all right, we can't do that. So I wired up one of the center console switches to turn on the whole unit for the heat and AC. So that way we still have AC. I don't know if we'll need it out in Ohio. We got that all taken care of. Just hooked the trailer up to do a little light check. So trailer is all set. The lights work. I just changed a few bulbs for the marker lights. So we are ready. We're gonna load up on Friday. We got the Tunbridge Fair coming up this weekend, so we're gonna load everything up Friday, and then we'll probably head out Saturday morning at like 5 or 6. It's about a 12 or 13 hour ride out there. We'll see how things go out. Somebody invited us to go to a cruise-in out there that's about an hour away, so we'll see if we get out there in time. We might leave later if we don't want to kill ourselves, because with drag week it could definitely end up being up way late some nights, so it might be worth, you know, leaving at 9, get there at 10 or 11, go to bed. We'll see how that goes. I will update you. I'll be doing videos every day of the week like I did last year, and knock on wood, we don't have any issues. The big things that are upgraded from last year, I've got the Johnson bridged lifters that are much better. They're rated for 1,000 horsepower instead of the regular Morrill lifters. I had killed 2 of those last year. The new oil pump, so that's a biggie. The oil cooler, that's a big one too. From just going around beating on it, doing burnouts, driving it, the oil pressure, it was, once I put the cooler on, it dropped 10 psi almost. It was like 8, which once I started reading online, that seems to be a normal thing. So but once it gets hot, it still stays up in the same spot. It doesn't drop as far down as it was before. So I think it's a good trade-off. We'll see how it goes with this week once you start making passes. I honestly haven't been to the drag strip since drag week last year, so it'll be a relearning process again. We also finally got the 2-step to build boost the other day. So that's something we'll keep fooling with on Sunday if we have time to do some test and tune. Because now we got to see if it's just going to knock the tires off of it every time I try to leave. We'll see. Something I forgot to add that I had added to the car for this year was the new catch can system. I am now, after looking into it more and doing some more reading, I'm 99% sure what killed the turbo last year was I only had the factory PCV vent. I actually had a PCV 90 on one side on the driver's side. On the passenger side, it was just a 3/8 hose. So I think I was building way too much back pressure with a boosted engine, and then that's what blew out the turbo seal, which then killed the turbo because it started smoking pretty early on. And every time I would make a pass or beat on the car, I would leak oil out of the rear main seal. Ever since I added the big Motion Raceworks catch can, that took care of that. So it doesn't seem to be doing that anymore. So hopefully, knock on wood, that takes care of that issue. So that was kind of another big fix. But it's exciting to see it all ready to go. It's been a lot of work going on between getting all this stuff ready. We're building a garage, so there's just been a lot of stuff going on. But I'm glad I got to get the car ready, and I'm gonna make it out. 2 of my friends were supposed to come with us. Unfortunately, they didn't get their cars finished, so they will hopefully be with us next year. But thanks for following along, and we will see you on Monday. Well, really, I guess day 0 will be Sunday. That'll be tech and everything. So see you soon.